Welcome back to the Pursuit of Accuracy. I'm Josh, and today I wanted to talk about if you were ready to take your air rifle and take it to the next level and get involved in some sort of competition like NRL 22 or shooting something like at RMAC, and how you need to go about doing that. So obviously today on the bench we have the Impact M3 that I got from Utah. Those guys are freaking killer. They have helped me out so much in the last couple of weeks because I'm still learning all this. So if you came here today to learn how to shoot ultra tight groups with an M3 or to shoot slugs, this is not the video for you. The intent of this video is to kind of brain dump all the experience I've had in the last year shooting PRS 22 and NRL style events, so that if you are thinking about going to something like that, you will be way more prepared and way more likely to find success out there in the competitive shooting world. So I'm going to get all my excuses out of the way first, but it is a little bit windy today and we are still shooting pellets. I haven't gone down the wormhole yet for slugs. That is something I'm going to get into because I think slugs are going to be the superior ammunition for that NRL 22 style shooting. But for today, we will be shooting pellets, and we do have some Saber tactical parts on here like the Arca Swiss rail. Now, Arca Swiss is one thing I highly recommend. Now, you don't need it, but it is a really nice thing to have, especially when you're talking about shooting positional. And a good example of that is you can attach a bipod like this, and you can run it all the way out here, or you can quickly suck it in. And while some people may think that's something that's not necessary, and it really isn't necessary, it certainly can help you, because if I'm going to shoot off of something like a tabletop or a big surface area, I want to roll this bipod out and get out here and get a rear support, and this is going to be very stable. But say the surface area we have of this is like a barrel or something much slimmer, then you can just suck this in and run this in this small of an area. Or you can take these straight up and run this in a much smaller area. Now what that's going to let you do is allow you to get stable on a variety of different things. But like I said, it is not necessary, but it does go a long way because you're going to have to shoot off various types of props and move in and out of positions while you're shooting. And sometimes you may need to start with a bipod for a prone shoot and then quickly jettison that bipod and go to something just like a front bag for the next prop. So Arca Swiss rail, while you can get away with not having it, something I highly recommend you get and use while you're trying to do this NRL 22 or RMAC style shooting. Now the next piece of kit that I really think you need, even if you don't have Arca, is you need a good bag. Now this is a game changer, pint size, and this is a pretty universal bag. You're going to see this about anywhere. Now you can buy this bag, and even if you only shoot one match, you're still probably going to shoot with this bag for the rest of your life. So to invest in something like this, I can just go ahead and recommend this to just about anybody, and you're going to see how much we use this when we start shooting positionally. So one more nice to have kind of thing is a cheater plate or just a plate. Now this adapts to Arca Swiss as well, but this plate basically allows you to quickly put on a really flat surface that's going to make it a lot easier to shoot off of bags. The name of the game here is stability. So you're shooting off of props where you're not going to be able to get a lot of points of contact to rest a rifle. So to increase this surface area on the bottom here with your shooting bag is going to go a long way in making this more stable. And since we're talking about that, let's go ahead and put this gear into use. Let's go to the tank trap right next to me, and we're probably just going to do some shooting at 50 and maybe 75, and then we'll get into some further range stuff when we start talking about how to tackle stages for PRS. But I want to show you the difference between shooting with this bag and orientating your body in a correct way versus some of the more traditional non-PRS style shooters that I see trying to tackle these stages. So let's get into that now. All right guys, so what we're going to do is we're going to shoot off of this tank trap, and we're going to shoot at a target about 75 yards away. It's about an 1.5 inch size target, and we're going to see what's going to happen with our reticle when we're shooting this with no bag, no support, and kind of with bad potty position. And then we'll fix those things, we'll add in the bag, and then we'll add in the plate, and you can see how much that's going to tighten up our reticle hold. So here we go. Just the gun on the prop. I'm going to make my body position weird. I am going to try and stabilize this. About a 2 mil holdover. Holy smokes, I'm rocking. Miss. And that was actually a nick, but you can see how much movement there is in that reticle. So let's add just the bag and we'll fix our body position. So instead of facing my hips kind of in a hunting position where my hips are kind of 90 degrees to the target, how you kind of shoot with offhand, I'm going to align my hips and my body to the target. And I'm going to use this bag for stability. And you'll see how much more still this reticle is. Impact. Ooh, that was a bad wind call on my part. But now, let's add in the plate. See if we can make this even more stable. Hopefully not make more bad wind calls. Oh, yeah, that was a bad wind call. There we go, impact, impact, impact. So while we've added more complexity to what we're carrying, it pays dividends in what your reticle is going to look like when you're shooting off these props. Let's see how much ammo we got. All right, we got enough. What we're going to do is tackle this kind of how we would on a normal stage. We're just going to kind of use that same target and bounce back and forth from tip to tip. So let's see how that goes. See how much this equipment slows us down, if at all. Impact. Impact. Ooh, okay, that was wind. So one miss on the wind there, which was my fault, but you can see how still that reticle is. So we've kind of looked at this, kind of looked at body position, body squared up to the target, and use everything you have to create more surface area. Let's go to a different prop and we'll look at that. So we're gonna look at something kind of around a kneeling position now. So because there's some obstructions in the way of the other target, we're gonna go out to 100 yards. So instead of holding over, I think I generically know what my mill holdover is. So let's get behind the gun and see what we can do out at 100 out of this position. There we go. There we go. Now, traditionally, you would have to move, and you would have to move kind of positions as you go. So now that we're down here, we're kind of in a totally different position. So now I'm kneeling, but the important part here is that my right side knee, my strong side, whatever your shooting side is, that's the knee that's up. I don't need my weak side knee up because I don't need to support the front of the rifle. That's being done by the barricade. I need to support my arm and what's holding the rifle up behind me and make that stable. So that's what we'll do here. We'll go to the same target. There we go. While we still got some ammo and air left, we're gonna move up one. Tight squeeze in there. A little bit of wind. There we go, barely hit it. There, right over it. There we go. All right, so as you can see, we were able to tackle these props with relative success, even with me making some bad wind calls and missing, but you can see how much better the reticle is and how much less wobble when we get in the proper position. So position is everything, and the subordinate gear just helps you build better positions. So there's one more thing I want to talk about, because I think generically speaking, a lot of air gunners like to use turret tape. And while I have no problem with turret tape, I would like to show you this Coltac cheat sheet. And what it is this deal here that kind of bungees to your optic and has this removable card. This is what I use in competition. Now, in an NRL course of fire or something like that, what you're gonna see is they're gonna give you multiple targets at different ranges that need to be engaged off of either one prop or multiple props or multiple positions on one prop. Whatever it is, there's an order to that. Now, if you're using turret tapes, those are good references, but you have to start remembering all this stuff. And if there's like a position that's not in order, you might be bouncing around on your turret tape and get lost, which is why I like this, because I like to draw it out. So what I'm gonna do is real quickly, I'm gonna sketch out something, I'm gonna show it to you guys, and then we're gonna shoot it off the tank trap and see if it helps us and how we use that to use our time more effectively and get hits on target without having to think about all that. All we want to be thinking about during the stage is shooting and the wind. We don't need to think about the rest of it because it's going to be right here on this card. I'll bring this in close so you guys can see what I've done here. But what I did was take the yardages I have out there and I've converted those using Streetlock Pro to get my mill holdover. So the first target's at 50, that's 0. And then we've got one at 76, which is 1.5. Then 82, which is 1.9. And then we have one at 92, which is 2.7. And then 100, which is 3.3. And I've gotten all that off Streetlock Pro from my phone. So not a huge deal there. So for writing on these cards, I like to use these Statler Lumicolor pens. They are like a semi-permanent. They will wipe off after the stage easily, but they don't get easily wiped off or knocked off while you're in a stage just in case you need to grab the card. So I like those. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna stick this back right on the side of the rifle, and I'll be using that to reference what I'm gonna be doing off the tank trap. All right, let's see if we can get this done now. As a quick note, I have set my parallax to about 70 yards because I wouldn't normally have time to dial and do my parallax. I'll make sure we're zeroed out here, 70 yards there. And let's go to the first target, which is at 50 yards. There's an impact on that. Now we're going to dial to 1.5 and go to the next square. God damn it. There we go. Now we're going to go 1.9 to the circle. Wind was nice enough to die for us. Now we're going to go 2.7 to the log down here. This is at 92 yards. Got that guy. And 3.3. And we're going to see if we can get this guy. Wind is cooperating. There we go. So, if I wasn't already familiar with this course of fire, then this would have been a lifesaver, because not only do I kind of have the mill holdover sketched out, I have the target kind of shape and the order that I'm going to shoot them sketched out. So that helps you a lot. So I see a lot of guys get really confused during stages and start shooting the wrong targets. That just is basically a lack of experience in this style of shooting. But if you're using something like turret tapes, that may not be helping you. Well, it's a great resource to use, and if you know how to use it, by all means, but it can get confusing, and this little cold tack cheat sheet can certainly help you keep those in order. And if you kind of have a spot where you kind of forget what you're doing, you can always look at what your last dial to, reference that to the last target and say, okay, the next one is a rectangle target and I need to be dialed at 4.6 or whatever it is. So these little things can help you. All right, guys, so I hope that this video has helped. I understand this is a lot of information at one time. This may not be clicking for you, but if you found this helpful and you are looking to get into this kind of shooting and you want to know more specifically on how to tackle certain props and certain tips and tricks to shooting off things like tires, barrels, barricades, prone, whatever it is, just let me know down in the comments. I'll get that prop out here. We'll talk about how to shoot off of it. We'll kind of show you again through the scope cam the benefits of how I tackle it versus how maybe other people tackle it. Because at the end of the day, we need accuracy to get on target, but we need to do it efficiently so that you can impact that target and move to the next without spending a bunch of time doing it. Again, I hope this was helpful. Huge shout out to those guys over at Element Optics. So I was running the Athlon Cronus before this, and I love the Cronus, but the Cronus has a big 56mm objective. And as you can tell on some of these props over here, this is basically as tall as it can be. So I am going to actually try and slim this down some more, but there's no way I could have gotten this rifle into that prop over there with the Cronus on top of it with the bigger objective. It just wasn't gonna go. So I have the Element Nexus, and I'm hoping that film turned out nice for you guys. I'm pleasantly surprised by the quality of this, specifically the glass quality at the price point. I own a lot of high-end optics, or medium range optics, you know, $1,500 to $2,000. This comes in below that, but the glass quality does not suffer. And it is only 20 power magnification, but if you're not shooting like bench rest, I don't think you need it. 10 to 12 power is kind of where I live in PRS style shooting. So I don't see any reason to upgrade from this for PRS. Also, huge shout out to Utah Air Guns who helped me get this rifle. They've helped me with this process so much. And there's a ton of people you can buy these rifles from. And maybe you don't like FX, that's fine. Maybe you like Daystate or whoever, but the good thing about the guys over at Utah Air Guns is that they are competitive shooters. They know what they're talking about. I mean, for the love of God, I think I saw Justin, who's the owner of Utah Air Guns, on Facebook with Ozzy Osbourne giving him a rifle, like delivering Ozzy Osbourne a rifle. So if your airgun guy is hanging out with Ozzy Osbourne and all these celebrities, he's probably the right guy to do business with, because I can tell you the prices aren't jacked up and the customer support is second to none through those guys. So thank you again, Utah Air Guns. Freaking love your shop and really appreciate all the help that you've given me while I go into this. And again, guys, look, I'm not an expert. I know a lot of you guys out there can probably beat the crap out of me with an air rifle. I'm learning this. I'm starting this as a new adventure, but I'm hoping that the PRS and NRL experience I have is going to help you get out there, and maybe you can whoop me. Come on out to RMAC. I'm going to go out to RMAC. I'm going to shoot the positional stuff against the big boys, see how I do. But thanks, guys. I appreciate you. We'll catch you on the next one.